Hello everyone and welcome to Cover 2 TV. I'm Ste Hall, this is Tom Jennings and we're here with our new show, our new studio show, Worst to First. We're going to be discussing the teams who finished last in their division last season, those teams who might or probably will finish top of the divisions this time. So who is going to go from the fourth best team in their division to the top spot, into the playoffs and potentially to the Super Bowl? We're not stupid. 8 teams finished bottom of their divisions last year. Jenna, we're not going to talk about all 8 because we're not here to waste people's time. Do you want to tell the viewers who we're not going to talk about and maybe upset four fan bases?
Right, well, it's quite simple. We're not going to talk about the Browns, the Jets, the 49ers or the Bears because they're irrelevant and that's it. And you can take that, you can send that to me and say that, yeah, I haven't got a clue, but no, you haven't got a quarterback, you haven't got a team, you're all tanking.
Jenna was thoughts on mine. So yeah, so listen, Jets, 49ers, Bears and Browns. 4 words. Steelers, Patriots, Packers, Seahawks. You can even say Cardinals, you can say Lions, you can say Vikings, you can say Ravens, you can say Bengals.
You can say the other 28
Dolphins.
teams.
They're not going to win their divisions, we're pretty sure. We don't want to waste your time. So we're going to talk about the 4 teams who we think have got a chance to go from worst to first. Those are the Philadelphia Eagles. We're buying in once again to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe. The now Los Angeles Chargers. I keep trying to say San Diego. It's definitely Los Angeles Chargers. And finally, the Carolina Panthers. Those are the 4 teams we're going to discuss. So let's get into it straight away then, Jeno. Let's talk Philadelphia Eagles. 7-9 last year. Do you think that there's a chance that they, Dallas 13-3, you've got the Giants 11-5, and you've got the Redskins, I think 8-7-1. So there's a big jump for them to get. Do you think they're good enough to be able to make that gap, bridge that gap and make that jump?
Yeah, I do, because at the start of last season, they looked really good. Carson Wentz did look like the next big thing, and everyone's like, oh, if the Browns missed out on another quarterback. And then as he tailored off towards the end of the season, now the reason why that is, I always think, after every hit you take in the NFL, your mechanics get worse. And the best quarterbacks like Tom Brady, he works on his mechanics every off-season to get them back. So as he's been working hard to recapture his good mechanics from the start of the season, then you've got Carson Wentz. You've also got that defense with Fletcher, Cox and Jenkins at safety. It's a really good defense.
Good pass rush.
And 7-9 is an easy one to flip. That's an easy record. A couple of things break your way, suddenly you're 9-7, you're 10-6, and you can then overcome other teams.
You mentioned there before again, Carson Wentz, we think he got hit a bit and it affected him and stuff. Yeah. The return of Lane Johnson could be huge. At left tackle, the Eagles only lost 1 game when he was playing. He went out, he went down. He got suspended. I apologise, and they lose another 8. So they go from to get into 7-9. But so yeah. In theory, he's one of the best tackles in the league. He should be able to give Wentz that protection. And then you look at what they've done in the off-season. They brought in 2 pass catchers. Say what you want about Torrey Smith. Yeah. He's at least quick. He's at least got the downfield threat. He will take a top off the defense. And in theory, they've got a number 1 elite wide receiver. If Alshon Jeffrey gets his head right and can stay on the field, that should help Wentz. That should give him more options because last year he was throwing to pretty much nobody.
Yeah. Well, see, that's it. They've got 2 wide receivers now. I like Alshon Jeffrey. He is, I think, it's 3-1. And Torrey Smith does add to that space. You've also got, now, they've signed LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, someone you know well.
I love LeGarrette Blount because what he does is he's just Marshawn Lynch, but much worse. That's the truth. And he just picks on soft defenses. If you can't protect yourself from the run, LeGarrette Blount is going to run all over you all day. And I just think that's going to give them another dynamic because last season they were really struggling at running back. Matthews was injured, Sproles is always injured. And there was just a big gap, which you're looking at big LeGarrette to fill.
Absolutely, and we've seen before, he might not be the most talented, but he gets you 3 or 4 yards of carry. He's a big bruising guy, and if you've got to stack the box to stop him, in theory, there's more space for the pass catches. Yeah. For Zach Ertz, I think potentially, we've been saying it for a while, for Zach Ertz, he could be something. Yeah. It's about time he shows it. So yeah, the only issue is that I say the Dallas Cowboys look good, the Giants look good, the Redskins, who knows? That's the main issue.
Well, yeah, so the thing with the division is everyone's like, that going, that's a really strong division, but it's starting to get strong now, but at the same time, every team's got issues. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on now with Zeke Elliott. We've done a couple of new shows on it, what's going on with there. You've got the Giants and Eli Manning, his play's deteriorating. Yeah, that's me saying it. His play's deteriorating. I'm going to take the blame for it. And then you've got the Redskins who are in flux with Kirk Cousins. So none of them are in this perfect situation where you think they're all going to run away with the division. So there is that gap for the Eagles to catch.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. They're definitely a contender. Okay, so we're going to move on to Jacksonville Jaguars now, or as the Americans say, Jaguars. We'll go with Jaguars because we're in England. A 3-13 team. by rights, there's a lot of people at home watching this will be saying, why didn't you include those with your Jets and the Browns and the Niners and the Bears? And my answer to that's simple. You know, they've had another good off-season, which they tend to do, and who knows, maybe we're buying into that. And also, they're playing in the AFC South, which is, you know, 9-7 was good enough to win that division last year, so that gap isn't huge. It isn't like the Bears trying to catch the Packers or the Jets trying to catch the Patriots. You're trying to catch the Houston Texans or the Indianapolis Colts or the Titans, who are maybe good teams, but they're not elite great teams. Again, the Jags, what they done, they went and loaded up in the off-season again. So we like say Calais Campbell, AJ Bouye, they drafted Leonard Fournette. They've made moves that everyone likes. So that's how you can, drink the Kool-Aid, for lack of a better phrase.
Well, see, that defense on paper, it just looks great. I mean,
at every level,
Jalen Ramsey is a great corner, and then you've got putting AJ Bouye, who just kind of came out of nowhere at the end of last season. And then you've got, you got Calais Campbell, you've got that fella they drafted, hopefully he actually
Malik Jackson still...
Malik Jackson, as well, forgot about him. So, there's a defense that on paper looks really good, but that's not the question about the Jaguars. No. We know what the question is. The question is Blake Bortles. Is he going to fix it? He's got the talent. He's got the two Allens. I mean, Allen Robinson's one of the best deep threats in the league, if not the best. And then you've got Leonard Fournette who's going to take up all those short carries and short yardages. So what can Bortles do? And that's the big question.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was horrendous last year. He held that team back. The reason they only got 3 wins, a lot was down to him. And there's debate about his work ethic. Does he work hard enough on his mechanics? Because the one season he did, he was pretty good. He was never great, but he looked like he was making that step up. When you're the 3rd overall pick, by now you should be doing something, and this is make or break for him. So hopefully for the Jags' sake, he's working, he's doing something, because the talent's there now. There's no more excuses. And having invested what they've invested, there's no way if the Jags are rubbish next year, they won't be getting a quarterback. There might be some in free agency who are available. Kirk Cousins, for example, you mentioned earlier, Jimmy Garoppolo. It's meant to be a good draft in terms of quarterbacks as well. So it very much is last chance saloon for Blake Bortles. So we'll see how he goes as well. Next up then, the 5-11 Los Angeles Chargers. Everyone's seems to be, I don't know. Can a team be a dark horse if everyone thinks they're a dark horse? Because everyone thinks the Chargers are a dark horse, and that's where we're kind of at. But you can see why, because they are ridiculously talented.
Well, see, I look at that defense, and when I'm looking at the team, I always go, how do they compare to the best of the division? Well, the best of the league, which is the Patriots. And that defense is set up to beat the Patriots. They've got that pass rush with Bosa and Melvin. They've got a couple of other good players on defense. The corners are great. They've got this defense that looks great. Then you've got Philip Rivers as a solid enough quarterback that you're comfortable with him. And he's got a bevy of wide receivers. So on paper, again, this team looks good. It's all about health and the strength of the division, because that AFC West is a nightmare to get out.
Yeah, I was going to say, Raiders 12-4. So Chiefs won the division, sorry, 12-4. The Raiders were also 12-4 wild card. And then you had the Broncos at 9-7. So the 3rd team in that division was 9-7, which shows how loaded it is. You've got a 2 years ago, they were the Super Bowl winners. You've got a lot of people's fancy with the Raiders until Carr got injured. The Chiefs are usually pretty good, although they are in flux. Yeah. So you can see that that's going to be tough to overcome. Do you think the move from San Diego to LA plays an impact? Obviously, you always talk about marginal gains and little things. Players moving house, moving schools for their kids, new jobs for their wives, different training facilities, different small stadium. Do you think that can have a negative impact?
Yeah, I do, because I think people forget that athletes are people, and they have personal lives, and the personal lives affects play. Well, it can affect play. Some people prefer to be on the field and ignore the personal life. Some people personal life overcomes the field. You don't know, and with 53 players on the roster, it's going to affect different players differently. So having a kid in a new school, what if his kid's not making friends? What if his kid's not, and then his kid's telling him he wants to move back to San Diego, and he's going, well, we can't move the team back. And this is going to happen, this can impact. And you've seen smaller decisions than this derail teams before.
Yeah. And we saw the Rams struggled again, not as talented, and they didn't have the quarterback and stuff, but they did have an elite defense, not offense, terrible offense, but elite defense, and something wasn't right, and obviously they had the coaching change and lots of flux, and change is never good. The best teams in the league are stable. They don't move. They have the same coaches, staff, the same GMs, the same quarterbacks and stuff. Hopefully, Phil Rivers gets the chance to do so. I think he's brilliant, but even himself last year, he's thrown more interceptions in the last 2 seasons than anyone else. Granted, he hasn't been protected well, but he has to improve as well, because you've got, say what you want, Derek Carr we think is going to be great, Alex Smith is fine. Yeah. The Broncos are here or there, but they've got an amazing defense. So that's 6 tough games to overcome, so you need your quarterback to play better, and Phil Rivers probably needs to play better, he'd admit that. And then the final team, 2 years ago they were 15-1, last year they were 6-10, and that is the Carolina Panthers. First thing, again, we're going to talk about is the division. So Falcons, Super Bowl runners-up, a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl, 11-5. The Bucs 9-7, much improved, we think, and then the New Orleans Saints, who are 7-9 and are always unpredictable to an extent. That is probably the first hurdle that you'd have to speak of when you come to the Carolina Panthers.
Well, it's just that NFC South, again, that's probably the second best division in any conference, and it's not even that. It's a weird one. No one ever wins it twice until the Panthers done it. Only once as a team retained the NFC South, which is just a weird stat. And you're looking at it and you're going, well, what time am I going to do? Are the Falcons going to come back to the pack? The Saints going 7-9, because they always do.
Yeah, they do that.
And then, a lot of people are big on what the Tampa's doing. They've made some moves. So the division's hard. So we've got to look at it and go, it's all going to come down to Cam Newton. It's all going to come down to what Cam Newton we see. Do we see the one from 2015 or the one from 2016? Yeah,
I say, we've spoken about this off air, but I've spoken on shows, but I'm convinced Cam was really injured last year. You can tell by watching just on tape, he was a completely different player. He's had off-season surgery on his shoulder, so time will tell how that heals. But he was wildly inaccurate. He didn't play well. Again, I do think he was hampered, and he didn't have that much talent around him, in truth. They've tried to address that by picking up high in the draft. They went and got Christian McCaffrey, so maybe that signals a change. If that is a change, and it's immediate, and Cam Newton's limited in training camp, you can see why that could be an issue, to change your scheme, change your offense, and your quarterback isn't there getting the reps you think he might need. That, in theory and potentially, could be an issue.
Well, see, Cam Newton threw 35% short passes in the NFL last season. That was the lowest out of any quarterback. That's why you're going to get Christian McCaffrey. So you can throw those short balls that he can make something out of. That's why they went and got a couple of scat backs.
Yeah, Kay Samuel as well, second round.
To take care of those short yards, so Cam hasn't got to do it. It was a great article written by Chris Wessling a couple of months ago about how Cam needs to become Ben Roethlisberger. He needs to, he had the same kind of access and he's just more athletic. He needs to now change and start throwing it more, rely more on his arm than his running, and use his big body for short yards, touchdowns. And as the off-season developed, we've seen Ron Rivers saying that. We've seen more and more people around the Panthers saying that. So that's obviously the plan going forward, is for him to take fewer risks running the ball and stay healthy. Now, how he adapts to that, that's a different thing, because that can take a while for you to suddenly stop doing what you're used to, which is the read option.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a change. It might not work straight away, but they are talented, and there's a chance that last year was a down year. They've still got, they've still got probably the best linebacking trio, all things considered, in Kuechly, Thompson, and Davis. Quarterback is a problem. They've got a decent pass rush, although they did lose Coney Early. They've got a decent front seven, you'd say. So, and again, that division, if you look, while we think they're good, in theory the Falcons could fall back. The Super Bowl hangover like the Panthers apparently suffered, and they lost their coordinator. The Bucs are, although they've improved, the defense isn't great, the offensive line isn't great. There's still questions, and the Saints have been 7-9 for 3 years, and who knows what they are. So you can see the glimmers of hope for the Panthers there. Let's go. What I'm going to do, I tweeted out on our Twitter account, I'll go through them here, basically asked some of our viewers and our readers and our listeners, who they think possibly could, so I asked them, who's most likely to go from where's the first. First reply is from Joe Hulbert, who said Chargers or Jags. That's two, Joe, so in the comments below, nail your flag to the mast, nail your colour to the mast and let us know. We had Ian, who said Panthers are probably the most likely, given they were a Super Bowl team the previous year. The Eagles maybe as well. I'm going to, Ian, again, pick one or the other. I'm going to hold you to the Panthers because you mentioned them first. Sam Brown says, if Bortles can be even half decent with that defence and with Leonard Fournette, I'll back the Jags, which again, it's hard to argue with that. Again, division maybe playing into that. Dave Howell said the Eagles, they were 7-9 last year, but only one of those losses came when Lane Johnson was on the field, which is kind of what we mentioned earlier, the protecting of Carson Wentz. If you had to pick one of these then, Geno, who would you think are most likely to go from fourth in the division to playoff divisional round next season?
I think it's going to be the LA Chargers. I think they're the team that has the real chance. I know it's a tough division, but I believe in that team more than anyone else. I think, something could happen to the Raiders, the Chiefs in flux. I don't know what the Broncos quarterback issue. I think they can do it. I really like the Chargers.
Sound, and I think I'm not confident in any of these, but I will go with the Panthers. I'm going to presume that Cam gets healthier and gets back to what he was. I don't think they're going to be 15-1. That's once in a lifetime almost. But I can see the Falcons dropping. But I can see someone winning that division at 9-7, 10-6 around there. And I think that the Panthers lost a lot of close games last year. I think they're good enough to be able to make that leap back up. And as I say, I'm a huge Christian McCaffrey fan, so having given him on this channel and elsewhere the absolute business over the last summer, it'd be wrong of me to then back against them. So I think he'll have the impact. And I think that division will be won 10-6, 9-7 with the Panthers. You guys at home, do us a favour, let us know in the comment section below which of those teams you think might go from 4th to 1st in their division. If you're a fan of the Jets, the Browns, the Niners, or the Bears, feel free to tell us why we're wrong and why your team might be able to win their division as well. I look forward to reading them if nothing else. While you're down there, do us a favour, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. It helps us, widen the reach of the show. We are trying to make something of this. We are trying to, bring our point of view on the NFL world to you guys and beyond. So tell your friends as well. Follow us on Twitter at Cover2TV as well while you're there, because why not? Until next time, been Ste, that's been Tom Jennings. This has been Cover2TV. Ta-da.